Oh, there's a little clamp, but that's good. Hi, I'm Kyle. I'm his brother. So I just kind of ride his coattails a little bit. Seeing he did such a good job. I'm here with my family. I'm here because of my grandmother, who's going to feature prominently in this. Just because she's so encouraging with this kind of thing. I feel like anytime I have a new thing that I want to try, she's always like, go for it. Where when I got my first car, this is a good story. I like cooking. I just made my very first Chicago-style pizza, like deep dish and all the fixins, and it was so good. And we were driving to get lunch somewhere, and I was telling her about it, and she says, I remember back in the day, people used to make things, and it used to mean something, and I was like, yeah. She's like, now everything's made of plastic, and I was like, yeah. And she's like, have you heard of microplastics? And I was like, I think so, maybe? And she's like, looks me dead in my eyes and says, microplastics are making the fish gay. And I said, what? And she says, so you don't know about the microplastics? And I said, no, apparently not. So she educated me, because apparently the microplastics are making the fish gay. And I didn't know about this. I don't know how you measure the gayness of a fish. I don't know if you show them a picture of another fish, and like if it's a gay fish, she's like, whoa. Or if there's some all-knowing gay fish scientists that are like, yes, this is definitely it. We fed this steelhead some microplastics, and now it's a rainbow trout. A little while ago, we were driving over to, I think it was Holt, with my grandmother. She just got in the car, and we were talking about a friend of mine because she has a condition called epilepsy. I figure you probably know about it. And she looks at me and she says, do you think her epilepsy is also caused by microplastics? So we don't know if she's epileptic or gay. We really can't tell. It kind of goes hand in hand, I think. So this friend, I was at home one night and I was trying to write this comedy skit because I've performed this once before up in Copper Harbor. And she, out of the blue, she called me, and usually what that means is she's in trouble, there's something going on with her condition, and she needs help. So she called me, she didn't text me or anything, and I pick up the phone and I'm ready for battle. And she goes, I don't know how to build a house for my sim. Sims is a video game, if anyone doesn't know. And so I was like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm here, I'm ready to help. What do you need? And she's like, I just need a house. And so I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't play that video game. And so she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh well, I'm writing a comedy skit. I want to go and do an open mic like I'm doing tonight. So and she's like, oh, do you want some help? And at the time, I had written down the word babies question mark, because I thought, you know, babies are funny. And so I figured I needed the help. She says, well, you have commitment issues. You can do something with that. And I said, no, I don't. Well, yeah, you do. You kind of do. And so I was like, okay, I just sort of read it off. And then she says, you got no bitches. Use that. And I said, no, I'm not going to use that. That's ridiculous. And I was wrong for 3 reasons. I'm using it. I don't got no bitches. And she said, well, do you want my help or not? And I probably should have said yes and just kind of moved the subject along. I could have said no. But for about 3 years, I said nothing, and she sort of put it together herself. Now, I'm lost. There we are. Now, I'm very single. I'm okay with it. It's pretty enjoyable, but I'm becoming ever more aware of it. I was sitting at home alone, as I do every night, and I was watching a TV show, and it pulled up this ad. It was a dating app, for people over 50. And I didn't think that applied to me. And then there was another one for Christians and another one for black people, and I fit none of those categories. But I was trying to figure out why I was single. I didn't figure it was because I'm not funny, because I kind of am. That's why I'm here. Thank you. And it wasn't because I don't have my life together. I mean, I don't, but I want it to be something other than that. Because that would hurt my feelings. Let's see. I really should have practiced this beforehand. I was going to, but then I decided that I was scared. There we are. I decided that I'm single because I have too high standards, and I was at the doctor's office for one of my many problems that I would rather not address here or anytime. And I was the only one there until this lady walked in, and she signed in and she sat down. And about 15 minutes later, I've been waiting for half an hour. That's not really important. She walks in, she sits down after her paperwork, and then the nurse walks out and says, "Hi, is there a Sandra here?" And she looks up and says, "Do you mean Sandra?" And I looked at her and I looked at the nurse because I knew I wasn't Sandra. But for some reason that just bothered me so much. And so I think that's probably what it was. And oh, there's another one. No, that's introductions. I've already introduced myself, so I don't need that. Oh, there we are. I also learned that I'm not able to catch a hint because in high school, there was this girl, and she was very friendly. And one day in the middle of class, she literally looked at me and said, "I love you." And I said, "Okay, that's cool. What did you get for number 5?" I was completely oblivious. My mom and other people have told me that the way to really get somebody's attention is through their heart, and so that's why I started cooking. I made the pizza for my grandma. And so I realized I just really enjoy cooking, and so I just sort of left off from the final goal. But I started cooking, I started baking bread, and I walked over to the market over here on Main Street and said, "Hey, would you guys like to buy my bread?" And they said, "Yes. Unfortunately, we need to have a commercial kitchen and a bread license." And I said, "What's a bread license? How do you drive a piece of bread?" They didn't have an answer for me. And so I was just kind of thinking about it. How do you drive a piece of bread? And so, I mean, you're getting your VW bagel, and you drive down to the video store, pick up your copy of Beast and the Furious. It's a breadstick shift, so it's a little bit sticky around corners. But I started really enjoying baking and making bread and reading about bread, and I came across this topic. It's called bread fraud, something that happened in ancient Rome, where the government would actually give you some grain to make your bread, and if you put stuff in it like chalk or sawdust or something, you would stamp it, and they would come to you and say, "This bread isn't good," and arrest you. And they really should bring that back, because that's how they get the microplastics in it. That's all I have. Thank you.